This episode contains discussions of toxic masculinity, the military-industrial complex, depression, mental health, and spoilers for the OC. Listen at your own discretion. It is Friday, the 9th of August, 2024. My name is Pigeon Rose, and this is my song of the day. Today we're talking about an artist called Petey, who I first heard of through the podcast Wonderful, which I believe I've mentioned on here before. It's the podcast hosted by Griffin McElroy of the McElroy brothers and his wife Rachel, and they talk about things they enjoy in life, just like whatever they want to talk about. It can be like concepts, or it can be like a film or a game they played as a kid or whatever. And a lot of the time Griffin will talk about music, and it'll either be something I was already familiar with, or it'll introduce me to something entirely new. I discovered Wednesday Campanella this way as well. And I don't remember which episode it was, but like a few months ago at least, probably about a year ago at this point, Griffin talked about the song Don't Tell the Boys by Petey. And Petey is probably better known as a comedian on TikTok. He makes kind of absurd skits, which he also puts on YouTube as well. He has a very recognizable look. I mean, he's got long hair and a big beard and kind of piercing eyes. And he does very funny TikToks. He used to be in a band called Young Jesus, but these days he does solo stuff here as Petey. And it's really good. It's a really good song. It's a really interesting song because it's also very funny, as you would expect from a comedian, but it's also like really deep and a really important message. And so it's really and just really good musically. So it'll be interesting to hear what you think of it. But first, we're going to listen to it and then come back in a few minutes and talk about it. There it is. That's Don't Tell the Boys. It's really interesting how it's covering this important topic of toxic masculinity. And true to form, does that in kind of a funny way. But there's a lot of moments in the song where it like hits you with something kind of funny and then immediately pulls it back and hits you with something quite serious. And you're like, it unmoors you. I think it's very effective in that way because it gets your attention, you know. So it starts off with, don't tell the boys that you've been crying in my arms. Yeah, I believe it's Sharon season for the feelings in our hearts. So, you know, the idea of not showing that you're vulnerable, not telling other people that you've been vulnerable because you don't want the other boys to think you're less of a boy, less of a man, you know. Sign the dotted line, go ahead and join my little cult. We'll talk about how childhood traumas guide our actions as adults. So this is what I mean by juxtaposing kind of funny lyrics with serious lyrics, because go ahead and join my little cult is so like playful. It's like, oh yeah, my little cult. And then, you know, childhood traumas guide our actions as adults, showing how deep rooted these behaviors are. If you're told to hide your feelings because you're a man, then you're gonna keep doing that. It really grabs your attention with that lyric, you know. Slam the bottle on the counter, take this thing down shot for shot. You know, I've made a lot of best friends, you're the best friend that I've got, and now we're howling at the moon. Hell yeah, we're making lots of noise. You know, I hate to say I love you, but there ain't no other choice. Don't tell the boys. So this is what I'm saying. You know, slamming the bottle on the counter, taking it down shot for shot, like drinking is seen as a very manly thing, being able to hold your liquor, you know, and slamming it on the counter, the violence of it, you know. But then, you know, I've made a lot of best friends, you're the best friend that I've got, like just immediately embracing the platonic love here, you're the best friend that I've got. Howling at the moon, again, kind of a manly thing to compare yourself to a wolf, especially if we're going to get into the whole outdated alpha thing. But yeah, we're making lots of noise. You know, I hate to say I love you, but there ain't no other choice. So he's talking about like how they're making lots of noise and that's manly, but saying I love you isn't, and he hates to do it, but there's no other choice. There's no other words for what he feels, you know. Just don't tell the boys. And then we get the second verse. Don't tell the boys that we done spend the week inside and watch 3 seasons of the OC till Marissa fucking dies. That's the line that makes me laugh so much. I still haven't watched the OC, but I'm aware of the fact that Marissa dies because it's quite a famous thing. I'm still putting a spoiler warning at the start of this episode, though. But it catches you off guard. Like, we spent the week inside. Okay, watch 3 seasons of the OC till Marissa fucking dies. You know, at times I'm more like Ryan, and you're a little more like Seth. You're so quick-witted when we talk about what happens after death. So comparing themselves to 2 characters from the OC. If you're not familiar, the OC was a teen drama in the early 2000s. Big hit. I think my sister watched it. I caught bits bits of it. It's where the what you say meme of someone getting shot originates from, because there was a character who was shot and that song plays over the scene where they're shot, and then there was a skit made about that on Saturday Night Live called Dear Sister. Anyway, yeah, so like Ryan is like the tough kid who is trying to make it in a better neighborhood, you know, with a better family, and then Seth is he's like kind of an introvert, and he gets more confident as he becomes friends with Ryan, and so it's an interesting thing to compare them to these two main characters, you know. I'm more like Ryan, you're a little more like Seth. You're so quick-witted when we talk about what happens after death, again juxtaposing the comedy with the seriousness, you know, making jokes about heaven and the afterlife, what happens after death. And then we go right into, I heard your brother's in the desert, he's been fighting for our freedom, he's been chasing nameless faces ever since he finished rehab. Whoa. It just really blindsides you. You know, your brother's away at war. He's fighting nameless faces. Really kind of underscores the dehumanization of war and how you often don't really know who your enemy is. They're just nameless faces. Ever since he finished rehab, too. So he's like not even necessarily a mentally stable person if he's having to go through rehabilitation. And now he's off fighting wars and shooting people. And then, can we support the individual without supporting the whole damn complex? It's either shooting guns or heroin. At least one of them pays for college. Oh, shit. That whole verse is so wild. You know, supporting the individual. You want to support this person's brother because you like them as a person, but you don't want to support the military-industrial complex. And the whole, it's either shooting guns or heroin. Like, either they join the army or they stay a drug addict, but going to the army pays for college, so that's the preferable option. It's such a harsh indictment of the military-industrial complex, and really lays bare these problems that are at the heart of American culture, especially, again, with the manliness idea of, like, being a man and being a killer and being in the army and all that, you know? Oh, and then back into the don't tell the boys refrain. And then it gets quieter again at the end. Don't tell the boys that we just had our little talk, you know, in tougher times, us guys decide we'd rather walk the walk. I'll always be a lending ear, I'll be your elephant best friend. Don't tell the boys we've got each other, and I'll love you till the end. Don't tell the boys. And so then at the end, it kind of pulls back the curtain a bit. You know, we had our little talk. In tougher times, us guys decided we'd rather walk the walk. This idea, again, of men hiding their feelings and walking the walk alone, going it alone, because that's what men are supposed to do. But then he says, I'll always be a lending ear, as in I'll always lend you my ear. I'll be your elephant best friend. I assume that's supposed to mean, you know, an elephant never forgets is the phrase, and so I'll always be your best friend who never forgets, who always listens, you know. Don't tell the boys we've got each other, and I'll love you till the end. That's when he fully, like, removes this masculine mask, and says, I love you till the end, right? We've got each other. And then don't tell the boys repeated until the end. I love this song so much. It's such an interesting exploration of this idea of men pushing down their emotions, even though everyone has emotions, everyone has feelings, and they need to express them, and repressing them makes people worse, and it makes them violent. And even if this guy has gone to rehab to deal with his heroin addiction, he immediately enters the army. That's not fucking helping. And so, like, it just compounds all of these things to talk about this idea, comparing it to a cult and all that, comparing it to the OC. Like, it's such an interesting juxtaposition of these expressions of platonic love that are very sincere and heartfelt, this indictment of toxic masculinity, commentary on the military-industrial complex, and also really funny lines and line delivery. Like, I didn't mention it when we were going through, but after the second line, you hear it go, come on now, in the background, which also makes me laugh each time. It's such an interesting song, and I really enjoy it, and I hope you like it too. This video as well, which is also enjoyable. There's a great performance of it on Audiotree, which I'll definitely be linking down there as well. Apart from that, I think that's pretty much all I have to say. Musically, I love it. Some really good guitar riffs and the drums as well, especially in the build up to the Don't Tell the Boys parts, where it's like doing the drum, like, I think it's like it's hard to describe, obviously, but I mean, you can just listen to the song. But I love the drums in this song, especially the build up to the chorus. So good. Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you so much for listening. Please hit like, hit subscribe, leave a comment, tell me what you think. Do you like Petey's TikToks? Do you like this song? Please tell other people about this show. Thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you tomorrow.
Break it down.
You're so quick-witted when we talk about what happens after death. Again, juxtaposing Don't tell